Hi, this is Dr. Scott Young, and today we're going to go over what the current economy is really like. Now, I did a little bit of this with a PowerPoint, and I want to go over just real interesting news statements that are out there. Coming right up. Again, one thing I see a lot of the time is I see people who are trying to, tell you that no one's coming, excuse me, no one's coming to rescue us. And I go, I know the guy that's talking that way. He's not a bad guy. I think a lot of people are jaded in their situation right now. They're struggling because they don't feel anyone, kind of fixing it. I know for a fact this is going to get flipped. I 100% know it. But the economists out there are not helping us out. They should be screaming bloody murder, just like the doctors should actually be screaming bloody murder at C-19. And yet they don't. The business owners, the business people are screaming though, but no one's listening. Let me show you a couple things that I think might be helpful when you look at this. Bring it up on the screen. What in the world is this thing called? You know about inflation, which is just a rise in, it's an increase of the money, which decreases or increases the price. So when you increase the cash flow in the environment, you decrease the value of it, which then decreases because you artificially dropped it in. It then decreases or increases that price. So sorry, when you have inflation, increases the cash flow artificially, decreases the value, which increases the price. Okay? Now, there's an interesting concept called stagflation. It means a stagnant economy. Well, we're there and worse with price inflation. I would say that we have stagflation times 30. And the thing that happens in stagflation, it actually happened in the 1970s when we had the oil crisis. But what they were doing is getting off of the gold standard. Well, guess what? We're about ready to get on the gold standard. So it's kind of interesting when you look back at this. There was a massive tailspin in the economy. Unemployment was growing pretty dramatically. And they cut, excuse me, the Fed cuts the money supply. Oil kind of calms down a little bit. But there were other good economic things that were happening because of that. And yet, the reality is they got nothing to help them right now. Interesting statement here. So, this will go a little too far, but the U.S. government may freeze all American funds with withdrawals. Do not get upset by this. Don't get triggered by it. Okay. The reality is that they're terrified for anyone to come in and ask them for money. And people think, well, the banks are going to get bailed out. And the answer is no, they're not. No, they're not. And see, Stu is a nice, good guy and everything, but he's not seeing the Nasara piece in here. Okay, and nor do most people, because what they don't understand is Trump is saying our currency is crashing and will not be the world standard. Of course, it's not going to be the world standard. We don't want it to be the world standard. We want every country to have her own currency that is asset backed. And so this is a screaming, kind of circumstance. And as I was telling some people, if you've listened to me, Powell actually said the rates are not going down. It is absolutely going to take a lot longer for this kind of thing to happen. And the reality is, it's not been going down no matter how much they've increased the rates. It's actually getting worse and worse. So you're really not going to see any kind of situation where it's going to be better for the dollar. This is an interesting post I had. I reposted this kind of thing. Google plans to lay off thousands of employees in their finance business operations due to AI. Well, that isn't the case. It's that they have been exposed in many ways. Being evil is not a strategy. Do you catch what I'm saying here? We're talking about evil issues. They're talking about, AI. Google layoffs, hostile, unnecessary, brutal, unfair. Where's the respect? This is the economic landscape when you have this. And then banks will actually respond to it that way too. Royal Bank of Scotland to close a fifth of the branches. And it's more than 100 jobs. This is a lot more jobs than that. But this is all going on over and over again. You could kind of pick any one of those kinds of places to see how much they're dropping off. And the reality that you need to get from this is that it's not going to be you. The more it gets bad for them, that means that we're close on the edge of this, guys. And I know it's stressful. Trust me, I know how stressful it is. As a business owner, I feel it. As a person, I feel it. Every time my business doesn't make as much, I can't pay myself very little. I've paid myself so very little in the last months to years. It's because I'm trying to protect cash as much as I can for a possible like shutdown of things. That's okay, guys. It's all good. It's going to get better. And I promise you, we're going to flip this thing. Thanks so much.